The city hummed around them, indifferent. A boy, no older than 12, darted through the crowd, his eyes fixed on the coins in his palm. Enough for bread, maybe milk. He never saw the man in the tailored suit rounding the corner. Impact. Hot coffee splashed across white linen. The man stopped. The crowd stopped. For a second, the boy saw the man's expression shift. Not anger, but something worse. A slow, deliberate smile. Then the man looked down, not at his ruined suit, at the boy's wrist. And that smile vanished. What he saw there would unravel a secret buried for decades, a secret that connected a poor immigrant child to one of the wealthiest families in the city, a connection no one saw coming, least of all the boy himself. Eli lived with his mother in a cramped apartment on the edge of the city, where the walls were thin and the dreams were thick. Every morning before school, he wiped tables at a small bakery for coins. Every evening, he ran errands for neighbors who paid in leftovers or loose change. His mother worked double shifts cleaning offices, her hands raw, her smile tired but warm. She never complained, neither did he. The day it happened had started like any other. Eli left the corner store clutching a small bag of flour. His mother's birthday was coming, and he wanted to surprise her with bread baked with his own hands. The coins in his pocket sang as he walked, a happy jingle against the gray city noise. He passed the usual landmarks, the cracked fountain where pigeons fought for crumbs, the wall covered in fading posters, the church with the broken bell. Then came the stretch of street he always hurried through, the block with the glass towers, the luxury cars, the people who looked through him like he was made of air. A black car purred at the curb, engine running. Eli barely glanced at it. He was thinking about the bread recipe the baker had whispered to him last week, about the look on his mother's face when she'd taste it. He never saw the man step out of the car. The collision was sudden, a wall of fabric and cologne. Eli stumbled backward, the flour bag ripping as he hit the ground. White dust bloomed everywhere. And there, spreading across the man's cream-colored suit jacket, was a dark stain. Coffee. The cup must have been on the car roof. Eli's heart stopped. He looked up, way up, at the man towering over him. Silver hair, cold eyes, a face that belonged on magazine covers or courtroom podiums. The man stared at his ruined jacket. Then he looked at Eli and smiled. Not a kind smile, the smile of a cat watching a mouse twitch. Eli scrambled to apologize, to explain, to offer the few coins still clutched in his trembling hand. But the man wasn't listening. His eyes had dropped to Eli's wrist, where his threadbare sleeve had pulled back during the fall. The smile vanished. The man's face went pale, not with anger, but something else, something that looked like recognition, like fear, like a ghost had just tapped him on the shoulder. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The city flowed around them like water around stones. Then the man grabbed Eli's wrist, not hard, but urgently, and turned it toward the light. There, faint against the boy's brown skin, was a mark, a scar, really, old and small, shaped almost like a broken star. The man's breath caught, and in that instant, Eli understood that this wasn't about spilled coffee. This was about something much older, something written in blood before he was even born.
The man didn't let go. His fingers wrapped around Eli's thin wrist like a shackle, warm and trembling. Eli's mind raced. Should he pull away? Should he run? But his feet wouldn't move. The man's eyes were locked on that small scar, his face shifting through emotions too fast to name. "Where did you get this?" The man's voice was barely a whisper. Eli stammered. I've always had it. Please, sir, I'm sorry about the coffee." The coffee? The man blinked, as if remembering where they were. Then his grip tightened. "No, this isn't about coffee. Get in the car." Before Eli could protest, the man pulled him toward the black vehicle. The door opened. A driver in a dark suit sat motionless, eyes forward, seeing nothing. Eli's survival instinct finally kicked in. He planted his feet, pulled back. "Please, I didn't mean. I'll pay. I'll work. You don't understand, the man's voice cracked. That mark, that scar. I've only seen it once before, on my grandmother's wrist, before they took her away. The words hung in the air like smoke. Eli stopped struggling. Took her away? The man's jaw tightened. He glanced around, at the watching eyes, the passing cars, the indifferent city. Not here. Get in, please. Something in that please broke through Eli's fear. This wasn't anger. This was something older, something broken. He got in. The car pulled away smoothly, the city melting into streaks of gray and gold through tinted windows. Eli sat rigid, clutching the torn flour bag, his mother's birthday hope reduced to white dust on his lap. The man sat across from him, studying him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. "What's your name?" the man asked. "Eli." "Eli what?" "Just Eli. Eli and Mama." The man's eyes glistened. "Your mother. Where is she from?" Eli hesitated. Adults didn't ask about his mother. They asked about money, about rent, about why he was in their neighborhood. But this man, this wealthy stranger, wanted to know about her. "She came on a boat when she was small, from across the ocean." Eli's voice grew quieter. "She doesn't talk about it much. She says some doors should stay closed." The man flinched as if struck. The car drove on, leaving the glass towers behind, entering a part of the city Eli had only glimpsed from bus windows. Wide streets, ancient trees, houses that looked like museums. The car stopped before iron gates that swang open silently. They pulled up to a mansion, old, sprawling, covered in ivy that had grown for generations. The man led Eli inside, through halls lined with portraits. Men in old-fashioned suits, women in pearl necklaces, all white, all staring down with the same cold eyes. Then they entered a study, books everywhere, a fireplace crackling, and above the mantel, a portrait of a woman. Young, beautiful, dark-haired, brown-skinned. Eli froze. The woman in the portrait had his eyes, his cheekbones, and on her wrist, faint but unmistakable, a scar shaped like a broken star. The man stood beside him, staring up at the painting. "That was my grandmother. Her name was Amara. She was taken from this house in 1953. My father told me she ran away, but I found letters hidden in the walls. Letters she wrote to me before I was born. Letters they never let me read." He turned to Eli, tears cutting tracks down his face. "They didn't take her because she ran. They took her because she married my grandfather, because she was black, because their children would look like you." The fire crackled. The portrait watched. Eli's hand went to his wrist, covering the scar. "She had one too," he said. "Identical. A birthmark passed down through generations. My father didn't get it. I didn't get it. But her mother had it, and her mother before her. And now," he reached for Eli's wrist again, gently this time. "Now, you're here, spilling coffee on a stranger. And that stranger is your—" He couldn't finish. Eli backed away, shaking his head. No, that's not. I have a mother. I have a life. I'm not asking you to be anything." The man's voice was desperate now. "I'm just asking you to listen, because what happened to Amara, what happened to her children, her children's children, it didn't end when she disappeared. It's still happening. It's why you live where you live, why you work where you work, why a 12-year-old boy walks through a city that doesn't see him." Eli's back hit a bookshelf. His eyes darted to the door. The man stepped forward. "Please, let me show you the letters. Let me show you the truth." But Eli was already running. Eli burst through the front door, feet pounding down marble steps, lungs burning. Behind him, he heard the man calling, "Wait, please!" But the words dissolved into the night. He ran. Down the winding driveway, past the iron gates that hadn't closed fast enough, onto streets he didn't recognize. The mansions blurred past, their warm windows mocking him with visions of families eating dinner, watching television, living lives where secrets stayed buried. His chest ached, his eyes burned, but he couldn't stop.
Then he saw the lights, blue and red, cutting through the darkness like knives. A police cruiser rounded the corner, slow at first, then faster. Eli kept running. He hadn't done anything wrong. He hadn't. But the cruiser's engine roared, and suddenly it was beside him, blocking his path. The door opened. "Stop right there." A voice like stone. Eli skidded to a halt, hands rising instinctively, the flour bag slipping from his fingers and bursting white on the pavement. Two officers approached, one older, one young. The older one's hand rested on his holster, knuckles pale. "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" Eli tried to speak, but his voice came out strangled. There was a man. He took me." "Slow down." The young officer's tone was softer, but his eyes were hard, scanning Eli's face, his clothes, his skin. "Who took you? Where?" Eli pointed back the way he came. "That house, the big one with the gates. The man, he said him his—" The older officer laughed, not a kind laugh. "Well, let me guess. You were just walking by and some rich guy invited you in for tea." He stepped closer, close enough that Eli could smell coffee on his breath. "We get calls every night. Kids from your side sneaking around looking for easy targets. So I'll ask again, what are you really doing here?" I didn't." Eli's wrist throbbed where the man had grabbed him. He touched it without thinking. The older officer's eyes narrowed. "Let me see that." Before Eli could react, the officer grabbed his arm, yanking the sleeve up. The scar gleamed in the flashing lights. "What's this? Gang mark?" "No, it's a birthmark from my grandmother, from—" "Save it." The officer twisted Eli's arm, spinning him around. Hands patted him down roughly, finding nothing but empty pockets and trembling bones. "You match the description. Break-ins up here for months. You're coming with us." "I didn't break anything. Ask the man. He's in the house. He knows." The young officer hesitated. "Maybe we should check, Frank, just in case." The older one, Frank, shook his head. "Waste of time. We've got 3 calls waiting. Let's go." He pushed Elo toward the cruiser. Eli's feet wouldn't move. His whole body rebelled, rooted to the spot where his mother's birthday flower still dusted the ground like snow. "Please," he whispered. "My mama's waiting. She'll worry. Your mama should have taught you to stay where you belong." The words hit harder than any slap. And in that moment, standing in the flashing lights, wrists cold with the promise of steel, Eli understood. The mansion, the portrait, the scar, none of it mattered. Not here, not now. To these men, he wasn't Amara's grandson. He was just another boy who didn't belong. The young officer opened the cruiser door. Eli looked back one last time, toward the mansion, toward the truth still sitting in that study, toward a man who might be family, but couldn't save him. No one was coming.
The night ended where it began, on the edge of the city, where the glass towers fade into cracked sidewalks and flickering streetlights. The cruiser stopped at the corner of Eli's block. No charges, no explanation, just a door opening and a voice saying, "You're lucky, don't come back." Eli stumbled out. The cruiser drove away. He walked home on legs that didn't feel like his own, past the church with the broken bell, past the wall of fading posters, up the narrow stairs to the apartment where his mother waited. She was at the window, still in her work clothes, eyes red from crying. She pulled him inside, held him, didn't ask questions, not yet, just held him like she'd never let go. The next morning, Eli told her everything. The coffee, the mansion, the portrait, the scar, the man who said he was family. His mother listened in silence. When he finished, she took his wrist gently, traced the broken star with her thumb, and said something he would never forget. "Your grandmother had that mark. I never told you. I thought if I didn't speak of it, the past couldn't find us. But the past always finds us." She reached into a worn box and pulled out a photograph. A woman, young and beautiful, brown-skinned, with eyes like Eli's. On her wrist, the same scar. Her name was Amara. She was stolen from her family, her white family,
because the world wasn't ready for children like her. She survived, built a new life, but she never stopped dreaming of the home that threw her away. Eli stared at the photograph, at the face that mirrored his own. "Does he know?" he whispered. "The man in the mansion?" His mother shook her head. "I don't know, but some truths don't need to be proven. They need to be carried." Weeks passed. Eli didn't go back to that neighborhood. He didn't look for the man, and the man never came looking for him. But sometimes, late at night, Eli would touch his wrist and think about that study, the fire, the portrait, the stranger who might have been his blood. He thought about the officers who saw only what they wanted to see. He thought about his mother, who carried a legacy of loss so quietly that no one would ever know. And he understood something profound. The scar on his wrist wasn't just a mark, it was a map of a journey that began long before he was born, through love and loss, through doors slammed shut and windows cracked open, through a country that promised freedom but practiced separation. Amara's story didn't end when they took her away. It continued in Eli's mother, in Eli himself, in every child who walks through a world that tells them they don't belong. The man in the mansion still has her letters. Eli has her face, and somewhere between them, a truth waits to be acknowledged. Not forgiven, not forgotten, just acknowledged. Because here's the question that lingers long after the lights go out. How many scars are we walking past every day? How many stories hide in plain sight, written in skin and silence, waiting for someone brave enough to ask, not what happened to you, but who loved you before the world tried to make you forget? Eli still walks through the city. He still runs errands, still dreams of better days. But now, when people look through him like he's made of air, he touches his wrist, and he remembers. He remembers Amara. He remembers that he comes from somewhere, from someone, and that no amount of flashing lights or cold words can erase what's written in blood.